Okay, so for this model, there's actually not all that much left, and I think that you'll find the process to be relatively simple and actually in some cases quite enjoyable. So what I'm going to do is just try and figure out which section I want to cut. So I'm going to take this whole thing right now and just rotate it so that I've got the proper views in line. So I know that I kind of want my views at least to be on this axis. Well, actually maybe not. Let me go back to this. So I'll go into the front view, and there it is right here. And I'm going to do a clipping plane, like around there. And I'll go to properties, turn the clipping plane in perspective, and now here is what I'm looking at. So I'll bring this thing a little closer so I can play around with it all at once. Let's see, right here. All right, so my section could look something like this, where if I'm kind of looking at it down at an angle like this, basically it could be any one of these different views. So I could cut the stairs and show my upper floor with the door and my upper roof, or I could go back here and show the whole stair in elevation, or I could cut through and just show the top flight of stairs and get a little bit of the gap to the floor below. I would say that showing something like this is not an effective use of a section. Yeah, so those are all options, and I'm going to stop and just speak to those of you who are going to do just one axonometric section. You basically would just use this, and you'll use the box method that I showed you before. I'll do it again in a second, but I'm going to do it on a split version. But you build the box, you set your camera, you export all of your line work, you do your sections information and everything like that. So yeah, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but yeah. Anyway, so you would just set your camera like this and do all the exporting process that we've done before. So what I'm going to show you here is if you don't have that and you want to see both sides of your model cut in half, like you just took a cleaver and split the building in half, like this illustration right here. This is how you do it. So for me, what you need to actually do is physically split your model. The other thing that you need to do is actually trim off a lot of the excess information that's going to give you modeling conflicts when you flip it and rotate it. And I'll show you what I mean here. So let me just show you this. I'm going to say split. I'm going to split these. Actually, I need to grab this group. I think it needs to be ungrouped. And you know what? I'll draw a line rather. Draw a line across it like this so that I can zoom in and place it properly. So let me turn my roof off so I can see what's going on inside in the plan. This line here I want to put on this stair. And it actually looks like the building is kind of rotated off plane still. So I'm going to do this and rotate from here down to in plane there. Okay. This I'll yank back. I'm going to actually cut through the stair right about here. And split. So when you do a split, you want to make sure that you select all of the objects like this. Hit enter. And then select that line. You can use it as a cutting object, I think. I usually use a plane. I've actually not used that before. It looks like it tried to split it. Oh, because I have other groups. So let me select everything here. I'll ungroup. Select it again. Ungroup. Okay, cool. So that one looks like it's pretty well split. I'll get rid of this. SEL, CRV, I'm going to get rid of all these extra curves I drew. And essentially the easiest part now is, oh, you know what? Look at that. I left my roof off and it still split it. That was unexpected. I didn't know that. Anyway, so the easiest part here is to just, select all the geometry that you're going to, do your, cleaver cut with. And then when you rotate it out, you have to pick a center of rotation. So in this particular illustration, they did it at the corner of the site, which is the easy way. You could basically go all the way out here and say from here to there, I'm going to rotate it out. Usually it's a 90-degree thing like this. And you see both views like that. But this particular one is a little bit too far. So what I meant by trimming is you might want to pull it back with a line trim like this. And you just kind of yank it as close to the building as you want. Get rid of all that excess material so that when you select it here and do your rotate, you go from here to there to there, and now you've got them right next to one another. Okay, so now the process from here on out is relatively simple, right? The goal is to get line work. When you're getting a section, and I'm not going to go through a simple section again. The simple section, you can go back and reference the videos from before. But for this complex section, I'll show you how to get both of your sides, section lines, and your background information out of the same drawing. However, the first thing that I want to capture in this particular video segment is how do you get contours for these rather than surfaces? Do any of you guys recall? Conceptually, what the process is to get contours off of a surface?
Extract something.
Close.
Do a raise of
Like the square
can't even think of
surface.
the words now.
Right.
But,
Surfaces.
Like-
Right.
yeah, like 50 feet apart. Was that?
Well, yeah,
Well, this
but
one's gonna be a lot.
this one will be much smaller now,
Yeah.
right? So originally when we had a mountain that was 3,000 feet tall or whatever I scaled it down to, we did 50 feet apart.
Surfaces were spread. Yeah.
Yeah, so then this one is going to probably be something like 1 or 2 feet apart. So that's as simple as, let me go on to negatives again. And you go into the top view and you say, you can do a 4-point surface. Doesn't really matter as long as it spans around the entire thing. I usually yank it up to be just underneath it, like this. And then you can start doing your array. So I select this object to array. Number in the X direction, just 1. In this case, Y direction is going up, even though it says Z up. Y direction here is, I'll start with 30 of them. Z direction 1, I think anyway. I don't recall exactly. So the Y spacing is going to be let's try 2 feet. That'll work. So I'll just grab these and shift them upwards so that it goes above my landscape, not the building, just my landscape. And I can actually just copy a few of these down if I want to get more coverage. So I'll copy from the point before to the point at the end. That should do it for now, I think. All right. So the key here is, now not extract,
Intersect.
intersect. Yeah. Intersect. So you select the objects to intersect. You basically select those and that, hit enter, and then you've got your contour lines. But what I'll do is, before I deselect, I'm going to create a new layer and call it contours. Give it a unique color, like green. And change object layer so that they're on that layer. So that way, when I go to contours, turn that off, turn the landscape off, what you have is essentially contour lines representing the axonometric rather than an actual surface, which in some cases is far more telling. Right? So what do you understand about the contour lines in this particular view? What does it tell you about the site?
It goes up and down 2.8 feet every line.
I know that part is going
Well,
to high hill is going to be down, so there's going to be.
Yeah, you're both right. You're just more technical about it. Yeah, one side is going uphill, right, and the other side is going downhill, essentially. Whoops. You guys are going to get blown out in the ears when you listen to this because I just smacked the microphone. All right, so you could just export it with a surface. That's fine. Turn the ISO curves off if you do. What I mean by ISO curves is these lines, because if you export it with those, it's going to export those as well. So to turn those off, go to show surface ISO curve and turn it off like that. I will say this though, if you do this, you won't be able to really see because this surface is so curved. It's so curved. It's not stepped like your topographic model would be. So maybe if you want the border lines to show, then you turn on both and you export it like this, which could actually be very helpful. And in fact, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here if there are no questions about this right now, and then I'll move on to exporting.